You can't keep on playing this way. It's all right, us all going great, great, great. If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm fuming.
Podcast, the final one of the year. Hope you all had a cracking Christmas and you kitted out head to toe in Leeds merch. Always makes a memorable white Christmas when you pick up back-to-back wins and 6 beautiful points. Today's show, as ever, is a bumper one. We're going to touch on our game against Burnley and what could be a whole night of talking about West Brom, to be honest. Obviously, Leeds United's 5-0 win away. We've got an under-23s update from Chris, another game of Guess Who, and to wrap up our final podcast of the year, we'll look back on 2020 highlights. Today's panel, I've got Lucy, Matt BB and Matt M with me. How are you doing, guys?
Hey there, good fun.
Good to hear. So I think let's get stuck in, because like I say, we could probably be here all night talking just about the West Brom game. So we're recording straight after the game's finished, which you can probably tell because we're all a little bit hyper. I think given the result, we'll probably just get stuck straight into that for starters. So 5-0 away win against Big Sam with goals from Alioski, Harrison, Rodrigo, Rafinha, and probably one of the best own goals that you're ever likely to see. What did you guys make of the performance and the result?
I think if you could call it vintage Leeds, if that's overblowing, I think it was what we got used to right at the start of the season. Free flowing attacking football, a bewildered opposition that just didn't know what was hitting them, and it was just a joyous Christmas experience to see Big Sam gifting us 5 goals with possibly one of the worst performances from a home team I think I've seen in the many years I've been watching football. I thought Rafinha was absolutely unplayable. For me, he would have been up for man of the match with Calvin Phillips, but all round just a superb game. Great to watch.
Yeah, absolutely buzzing with that result. So happy for Johnny, man of the match performance. What else could you wish for? I could see himself like winding himself up to shoot for that goal, and I was shouting at the telly. I was like, "Don't you bloody dare!" But what a bloody goal it was in the end. I think I said in the last episode that we needed the 6 points from these 2 games, and we've gone and got it. So job done there. Yeah, Rafinha, I think he was desperate to score against Burnley, and then today he just looked like he wanted to score all game, and he finally got that goal. Again, another stunning goal. 2 clean sheets on the bounce. Yeah, really happy with that performance today. Got no complaints whatsoever.
I don't really know what more I can add there. I think you just contrast the two wins. Like we said, obviously we did a Manchester United post-match podcast, and yeah, it won the best sounding one we've ever done, have we? The last one, and we were talking about these next 2 games, Big Sean Dyche and Big Sam, and I'll be honest, I think we were all pretty much worried about these 2 games over Christmas. I know I certainly were, but to see us do a Burnley and scrap out a 1-0 win, and then do what we've done tonight at West Brom, just the contrast in the performances are fantastic. You've got a old school, grit it out, 1-0 to Leeds at Burnley, and then you've just Barcelona at West Brom, absolutely bamboozled them. 662 passes to their 155, absolutely phenomenal. And the best thing about it for me, 2 clean sheets as well. And Paul Merson can stick it up him as well.
I think your comment on the fact that there was such a difference between the 2 games is really, really valid as well. And I think, do you guys think that there's something in that victory at Burnley giving us that kind of edge and that confidence going into tonight's match, because we'd kind of proven that we can fight it out for that 1-0 victory when we need to? It doesn't have to be 5-0 like pummelings every week.
Yeah, it's that adaptability as well, which has really pissed me off this season with your likes of Paul Merson and Gabby Agbonlahor and anyone on TalkSport who gets a microphone seems to have an opinion and seems to say that we're just gung-ho, and yeah, it comes across that we are that. But we have got these 1-0s in us and scrapping it out. We saw that at Bramall Lane earlier this season, and we said we need a few more of them, and we definitely did it against Burnley. But then, just like I said, the contrast to how we can perform against West Brom, and granted they were poor, very, very poor. Did they make us look good? Probably in some sense, but not all the time, because we were like a rash. They just looked like they didn't have any options to get past us at all. And I think to a man, every single one of them were outstanding tonight at West Brom. But Alioski for me, like obviously Lucy, you'll be absolutely buzzing you tonight. But what a goal! Absolutely, what a goal it was, and what a performance from him. I've been sceptical. We all have. We were all talking about potential left backs coming in at January. Now we don't need to worry about it on performances like that.
I thought in terms of our defensive game tonight, absolutely. It's a confidence thing, isn't it? We were falling to pieces every time we had a corner in the game at Man United, and probably many others before. Every time there was a free kick or a corner, we were crumbling. You could see we probably have. You're right. I think we gained something from that win against Burnley, where we'd really ground it out, I really take back the years there, George Graham style against Burnley. And once you can do that, well, it didn't look as though West Brom were ever going to score from a set piece in that game. And I think it has given us that belief. I mean, and I think, as you say, Matt, when you look at those two games, one against, Sean Dyche's very physical Burnley side, and then a big Sam side, you're thinking, all they're going to do is dive for free kicks and get corners, and we'll probably end up losing 2-0. But we didn't. We played out with confidence, and we had that adaptability. That as you say, try living in Birmingham. Every return you've got Stan Collymores and Gabby Agbonlahor commentating on local media. But you did. We proved the doubt was wrong. Absolutely, and that's brilliant.
I think that's probably a good time to give Pascal Strauch a bit of a shout out, because, like you say, corners has been a big weakness of ours up to this last couple of games, and over the 2 games we've actually faced 15 corners without conceding a goal, which might sound something that teams should be doing week in, week out, but for us I think that's been a huge turning point. So I think we'll touch on the best goals of the season so far a bit later on. I imagine a couple of today's goals will be sneaking into that list, but I think we know who Lucy's going to go for on today's goal. But what do you guys think was the best goal scored out of today's 4 from Leeds players?
Sawyers for West Brom.
It was magical, wasn't it?
It'll be on what happened next on the Question of Sport, but that's been ruined, that game, hasn't it, now, because of social media. But I think they were all brilliant. Like even Jack Harrison's was something special, wasn't it? Let's be honest. I think they were all brilliant. They're genuinely fantastic. Rafinha, what a player. What a steal. 17 million, was it? Absolute steal.
Oh, I think he is absolutely value for money at 17 million pounds. I can't believe I'm quite saying that. If I bulk at paying more than £5 for a pint of Stella, I'm not in the money markets or anything. But yeah, he's value for money, and I struggle. I mean, in terms of I was blown away by Harrison's goal. That little turn where he sort of he sort of back heels it, around the West Brom defender. I thought that was great, but just the exuberance of Rafinha's goal, I just thought was just superb. Absolutely wellies it, no chance. I mean, that for me was the best one.
Yeah, definitely Alioski's goal for me. Massive fan of Alioski. But like Matt said, all the goals were really impressive. I thought, like Jack Harrison's, I thought he'd sort of lost the ball in the box, and I thought, oh God, he's mucked this one up, but he managed to find it in the end. But can't complain about any of the goals. I thought they were all fantastic. But yeah, Giannis sits top of the tree for me.
Shocker. I think I'm giving Raf my goal of the match. I just thought that it was so smooth, the movement was so fluid, and also that getting a nice FPL assist points from Dallas, so that helped. Of the 5 goals, no goal for Bamford today, although he did get 2 assists. But I think it's nice to see a real spread of goal scorers, isn't it? Because, obviously Bamford is pushing for that golden boot, which might sound a bit silly, but absolutely why not? So it's good to see that we've got goals coming from all areas of the pitch. I think that's 4 goals in 4 games for our fullbacks. Did you guys expect that we'd be here at the start of the season?
No, I didn't. I mean, I don't really know what I expected. I think I'm terrified of anyone putting out a quote from one of the earlier pods where I said I thought we'd finish 6th after our first 2 or 3 performances. But in all honesty, I had no idea. To say you're on 23 points now as you go into the new year, I think that's a superb return. And certainly given some of the results we've had go against us, which I think lesser teams would be crumbling and would really have had their confidence hit, we have that power to bounce back. We have that resilience. So I'm just really pleased with where we are. Couldn't be happier, really.
Yeah, definitely happy with where we are at the minute. I think obviously it's quite worrying when obviously we'd lost Koch and then we'd lost Llorente and Cooper, and you're looking at the team and you're thinking, bloody hell, how are we going to fill these slots? But obviously Struick's come in and done an absolutely incredible job last 2 games. It shows with the 2 clean sheets that we've kept, taking a point from Man City. Some of these 5-0 games that we're involved in, these higher scoring games, I think we can't really complain. I don't think. I think we can only get better from here. So I'm just buzzing for the rest of the season.
I think you've got to look at like these 2 games, are massive. You 2 games in 48 hours, and 6 goals, 2 clean sheets, and these are established Premier League managers we've gone to get. Bielsa's gone up against, and he's adapted his style, like we said, but. Yeah, like Lucy said, I think we've had some memorable games so far. You look at the City result for me, it's a massive standout to go toe-to-toe with Guardiola and his players. But you even look at that Liverpool game, that opening game of the season, what a game that was, end to end. You just didn't want it to finish, did you? But for me, I think you look at going to Villa Park and turning them over at 3-0 is a standout one as well. But yeah, I think it is what it is. We're definitely entertaining, and people want to watch us. People don't want to watch a Fulham 0, Southampton 0. They want to watch Leeds United, and yeah, you're definitely guaranteed goals and entertainment, and it's sometimes not good for the old ticker, is it, being a Leeds fan now these days? But I don't know about you guys, but tonight at West Brom, I think it's like 3 or 4, and I just feel a little bit overwhelmed sometimes. Like, it don't feel real. It don't feel like Leeds, especially when you see people like Lee Peltier playing for the opposition. Don't forget, he was our former captain, he was our leader, and he was a complete shambles of a player for Leeds, and he was tonight. And that was just a little glimpse of the past of what we were. And I just remember looking at him losing possession and thinking, my God, we've had it hard, and we've had some shit of it years.
I mean, on a similar vein, we've had a week of pundits and commentators kind of questioning our ways and Bielsa's philosophies, asking whether we're going to get found out, suggesting even that we might be in a relegation battle. I mean, I'm just looking at Twitter now, obviously after the match, and Karen Khan has said something ridiculous about us only getting promoted because of COVID. It makes wins like this even sweeter, doesn't it, when you can kind of prove the doubters wrong?
Yeah, I think they're only doing it as well to get a reaction out of Leeds fans, and we seem to buy it. I think TalkSport are renowned for it. They absolutely love it. They flip-flop so many times. Tomorrow morning, they'll be talking about European qualification for Leeds. Now, you watch. But they don't know what they're talking about. They don't. I think they see Bielsa as a man who doesn't speak a word of English, and they just think he's arrogant. But he's an absolute genius. And I don't know if any of you caught the full-time whistle where little Sammy Lee went running up to him. God knows, he probably asked for his autograph or something, to scribble his autograph in his Disney autograph book that he's got or whatever. Bielsa were having a full conversation in English with him. So it is true. He does speak English, and I just think it just pisses pundits off. And I think may it continue, in my opinion.
It was definitely it's been a change, isn't it? I think when we went up, there's an awful lot of positive media coverage for Leeds, but it's like anything, isn't it? If you are different, if you're successful in the way you do things, the British media will try and tear you apart, and they have turned on Bielsa in the last couple of weeks. That he's a one-trick pony, but I think as Matt says, you're not understating it to call him a genius. If you sort of read up about the guy, he sort of transformed football in Argentina, and he's revered there and in Spain, and for the likes of Alan Brazil to question him, you're just sort of thinking, well, where do you get off, mate? It's completely not in any way credible, but he's proven the doubt was wrong. He's doing it on the football pitch. So yeah, it's sweet to respond in that way.
We've got some fan thoughts on today's match from you lot on social media. Derek says, I'm glad that we're not just about eking out 1-0 wins and that we do have a plan B. Loco says, as a Leeds fan born in West Brom and working with a few West Brom fans, I'm looking forward to them telling me that the burnout will relegate us. SJB says, the worse the hair gets, the better the football gets. And Charlie Phillips raises a good point that the difference in the direction of these two teams is that we bought a few brilliant players who fit our system while they stood still. What do you guys think about those comments? I think the last one, particularly with us touching on Rafinha earlier, really showing that our recruitment has massively helped us as we've stepped up to the Premier League.
I think if you look at the if you look at the two respective squads, absolutely. When you sit there and look at the team sheets just before kick-off, there was no one when you actually looked at it in black and white that really worried you in the West Brom side. They just haven't really progressed since being in the Championship. We've gone for quality. Rodrigo and Rafinha are just miles ahead of any of the West Brom players. So I think that last point is just really hits the nail on the head. And Matt, I had those same thoughts when I saw Lee Peltier was still playing. I mean, my first thought was, what on earth is he doing in the Premier League? I thought he'd probably retired or was playing in Cyprus or something. So I was deeply surprised to see him. But fair points. And I like the one about the hairstyles. They are getting rather interesting now, aren't they?
This season, we've partnered up with The Terrace, and you can get 15% off all their merch at terracestore.com. So fill your basket with the quality LUFC gear and add RITGK15 at the checkout to get your discount. Enjoy! Leeds under-23 squad have been on a bit of a roll of late, so who better to join us right now than our very own under-23s reporter, Chris McMenemy.
So it's been a great year, but the 7-1 over Fulham, it capped it all off. It was the perfect tonic after that match that we'll not speak about ever again. And so it was 7-1 against Fulham. Fulham, whenever I sort of looked at the table a few weeks ago, they were struggling, but the league, the under-23s league is mental. There's something like 10 points separate top from bottom. So Fulham went into the game a few points off Leeds, but well in the chasing pack in 5th place. But it was a pretty strong Leeds side that played. It was Hernandez, Roberts, Costa, they all played and scored. Poveda set up 3 goals. Well, technically 2, but I'm giving him the own goal. And there was plenty of good performances from the likes of Charlie Cresswell and Drame, and my boy wonder, Joe Gelhardt, came off the bench and scored and missed a penalty, but I'll allow it because he set the penalty up by beating about 5 or 6 players. But sort of key talking points from that game, Hernandez was fantastic. It's kind of funny. You see some people on social media saying, you're playing all first team players in the under 23s, why are you doing that? And you go, no, we're not. And then you realise that like Pablo Hernandez, who's played in the Champions League for Valencia and is old enough to be some of these players' dads in certain parts of the world. Anyway,
it's true that
he's playing, and he's some of these boys are only 17, 18. I mean, he is 35, but he was brilliant. Roberts played up front. I feel like I'm quite harsh on Roberts, but I don't know. I think if a player's doing it in the under 23s and he's coming out of the first team and he comes into the first team and he's not doing it, then you do have to wonder, is he up to it, or would it be better to send him out on loan? The same goes for Helder Costa, but I don't see him going anywhere because he's probably on quite a big wage and costs a lot of money. But I thought Poveda was very good, but no, he was brilliant. These under 23 games, you get a lot more space than you do at the first team level. And like, if there's one player in the sort of between the first team and the 23s you don't want to give any space to, it's Poveda. He's lightning. Apart from that, I thought I would touch on Jack Jenkins. He was sort of, you watched the game and you thought he didn't do that much, but everything he did brilliantly, because he was playing as the holding midfielder, and he didn't have all that much to do because of basically Leeds were in control of the whole game, so he was just the conduit between the defence and the attack. But he's been one of the standout players for the 23s, not in the sense that Joe Gelhardt's been banging in the goals and, you know, all the highlight reels have been beating 4 or 5 players, or Sam Greenwood scoring goals and now he's moved into midfield. You know, like that's the ones that everyone's talking about. But Jenkins has been quietly going about his business, playing either as the holding midfielder or more in the Matthias Klick role, sort of a number 8. And the fact that he's sort of stepped up from the under 18s. He played it for a bit last year for the 23s, but now he's probably one of the first names in the team sheet when he's fit for the 23s. He's been very, very good.
Quick one on Jenkins then. So obviously Klick limped off today at West Brom. Do you reckon he'll come in, Jenkins? Spurs up next? Maybe the Crawley game potentially?
I think I could definitely see him playing against Crawley. I think Shackleton will probably play. I mean, I still don't believe that Klick's injured. It would be the most 2020 thing to happen if Matthias Klick actually got injured. I think we just write this year off as a bad deal if he's actually, you know, if he can't play.
It could do with a game off, to be honest with you, Paul, couldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if they play him against Crawley, then there must be something in his contract that he has to play every single game, because like he never gets a rest. He always looks tired as well, but he's still going. No, I would say you'd see Shackleton in, because Shackleton, he can play right back and you can push Dallas into midfield, or he can play midfield himself. I'm actually not too sure if he's better at right back or at midfield yet. I just think that the game sort of passes him by sometimes when he's in midfield. He was brilliant against Aston Villa, mind you, but sort of Leicester game he got caught out a little bit. Jenkins, I'd really like to see him play against Crawley. I don't know if he'll start. I would like to see him get definitely some minutes anyway, because that's probably the only opportunity. Like, you don't want to be taking risks bringing under 23s into the first team for the first ever game, you know, away to Brighton or something like that, because it's quite easy to get sort of eaten alive in the Premier League. But I think a FA Cup game that they're probably not going to be all that fussed about is definitely a good opportunity for him to play, and I'd like to see him in there with Struijk in holding midfield behind him, and Charlie Cresswell hopefully starting too. It's one of the centre halves. I think he's got a lot better since that game against Hull in the League Cup, where he kind of got lost the first 10-15 minutes and spent most of the rest of the game feeling his way into it. But I think he's definitely worth giving the 90 minutes in the Cup too.
Just a quick one, Chris, just on the season and really just the last year as a whole. Do you see the influence of Bielsa through the squad in the youth teams and the academies as well? Like as much obviously as we do within the first team. Do you think that's starting to filter through all the age groups now?
I was about to say I think even more so, but I actually don't even know if that's possible. But definitely. I think not only in the under-23s, because some of that you could maybe have put down to Carlos Corberan and the recruitment, but the guys coming through the under-18s like Cresswell and Casey over the last couple of years anyway, Cresswell and Casey, Noah Kenna and Jenkins, I think they've come through and they fit into the system perfectly, and which at 18, 19 is really hard to do. I think Jenkins, I've written an article for writing the Gary Kellys saying that I think he's one of the ones to watch for 2021, which is really a lot to sort of put on his shoulders. But for someone who's come in, he played a handful of games for the under-23s last year, but he's come in and played in both of those midfield roles. I think are very, very tough, and he settled in perfectly. And like he just looks like Jamie Shackleton did, like Robbie Gotts does, just one of those midfielders who can do a little bit of everything, which is exactly what Bielsa wants. So I'm sure he's been working. I know the first team, the 23s, but right through the club, it seems that these young players are coming through, and every single one of them can pick a pass and attack and defend. So I'd say his influence goes well beyond just the first team in the 23s.
Exciting stuff. Thanks very much, Chris.
No problem.
So it's been another busy week in the world of Leeds United. Here is your whirlwind roundup of Leeds news in 40 seconds.
After the 6-2 defeat to Manchester United, every pundit in the land started to question Marcelo Bielsa's tactics. Turns out they don't know what the they're talking about.
That prompted Marcelo Bielsa to give an absolute masterpiece of a response which lasted 40 minutes, outlining how his Super Leeds team was superior than that team over the Pennines.
Meanwhile, Leeds under-23s continue their good form after romping to a 7-1 win over Fulham in the Premier League, extending their lead at the top of the table.
Leeds did a Burnley on Burnley and scrapped to a much-needed 1-0 win, which was a thing of beauty.
Bielsa made it 2 wins from 2 against English managerial legends as Leeds crushed a victory over Big Sam's West Brom.
Woo!
I love that bit, that's my favourite part.
Smashed it.
Anyone want to do the weather?
Freezing. Dog was refusing to go outside to the toilet.
Hi, I'm Don Matteo. There's nothing more than I like doing when I'm sat in the rock bar, listening and writing to thegarykelly.com. Right in the Gary. You can edit that, can't you?
So we're dialing Matt B and Dan in with us now so that we can do a bit of a roundup of 2020. Thought we'd review the season so far because obviously it's been such a memorable one. So we've looked back at the best games, best goals, all that kind of stuff, and the guys are going to give us their thoughts on that now. To kick things off, what would you guys say was your favourite game of the season so far?
I think it was the opening one against Liverpool. I think it was a statement of intent. It was one of these strange games, a defeat that feels like a win. I thought it was great, high octane entertainment. That's my favourite, even though we lost.
Now I would probably say the Man City game. I thought that was a really good game of football. Rain throwing down, thundering tackles, great football for 20 minutes. You know, we were playing against the best team in the world, weren't we? And then after that, we just grew into the game and we gave it to them. It was like a 6-6 game that finished 1-1, really. And I just really enjoyed that game. I think, you know, we could have easily won it. We could have lost it. You know, I think that game had everything. It was just a good game of football between Bielsa and Pep, really.
Did you just love that game, just to see him hug at the end? Was that the moment for you?
It was a nice hug. I think after the Bilic and Bielsa hug of last season, that was probably one of the better hugs I've seen in football, I have to say.
I think I've got to agree with Dan. I think it's one of them games where you just didn't want it to end, did you? I don't think anyone did. You know they'll be playing it for like 50 years to come, you know, like this proper game of football. You know, imagine football in 50 years' time. And they'll say, back in the day, football were great. Here, look at this game when Man City came to Ellen Road on a wet and cold Tuesday. Was it a Tuesday night? I'm going to say Tuesday, or was it a Monday? It was Monday night, wasn't it? And they'll be showing how good football was back in the day, and that'll be the game they'll be showing.
It's a tough one, I think. I think we've had so many great games that we've enjoyed. I think mine's probably Villa away, 3-0 win, Bamford hat-trick. I think that was probably one of the most standout games for me. But then also the 1-0 win at Everton, because they were sort of the informed team at the time. And I think we went into that game not expecting anything from it, really. I think the Villa game was definitely my favourite of the season so far.
You're all refreshing me on. I seem to be forgetting how many games we've played this season, but there's been quite memorable ones, haven't there? Really, I think Matt and Dan probably spot on for me for the fact that when you, I know it's meant to be one, but I think it's either the Man City or the Liverpool game. I think those were, especially the Liverpool game. We sort of went into it, even though we lost. You came out with a sense of, we're good enough to be here, and we belong playing these big teams, and that was the same with the Man City game. We were going toe to toe with two of the best teams in Europe in those games, and like I say, you only take a point from it, but just the way that we play in those games and the satisfaction you get from, but just like tonight when you get pundits just spouting absolute rubbish, saying that we can't play like the way that we do, and then we do, even with like a shoddy defence, and then we go out with performances like those. So I think that those two they've been my standout ones so far.
I think with that Liverpool game as well, if you think back, they had a penalty, didn't they, that wouldn't have been a penalty a few weeks later in the season. Scored another penalty, and I think they scored a couple of set piece goals. And just like the goals that we scored were, you'd think that a promoted team would be scoring the type of goals that Liverpool scored, if anything. And we came in and we just took them by storm pretty much. So I think you have to say, as statement goes, definitely those two games were brilliant to watch, and really enjoyable, and kind of opened everyone's eyes to what Leeds would be like in the Premier League.
I think you've got to chuck in tonight's result as well at West Brom.
Yeah, I would say tonight, especially with everything that's gone on this week. I say everything that's gone on, but like we've just touched on, that people have just been, and pundits saying that we can't play the way we have after Man United, and then we go and shithouse a 1-0 win against Burnley, and then go and absolutely obliterate the media's darling Sam Allardyce, TalkSport. I think it's more the satisfaction of tonight that's sort of makes today very a good one.
I think for me, like you're right, tonight has felt really, really sweet. And I think because it was quite important as well, we all knew that the next two games we wanted a minimum of 4 points from. So to know that we got the 3 at Burnley, and then to smash West Brom effectively, they were really shit, but we turned up, we made the most of it, and the goals that we scored were absolutely amazing. So tonight feels very, very sweet. So I think I'm going to go with tonight's game. Moving on then, goal of the season so far. Lots and lots of good goals, even just tonight. So over to you guys.
It was Harrison's goal against Newcastle, which I just, for me, remember, definitely. Just he had everything. That sort of that running half length of the pitch and just dispatching it with all that power out of nowhere. And Harrison's had a bit of a bumpy season. He's not been consistent, but I thought that was excellent. Definitely my favourite. Yeah,
before tonight, I'd have gone with the same, Jack Harrison's goal against Newcastle. But after tonight's game, I've got to go with Alioski with his goal against West Brom. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved the guy to pieces. So yeah, I had to go with him.
I think I'd probably go for Rafinha at Everton. I think for technique of how he hit it, because it was right under his feet, wasn't it, and he just pinged it into the bottom corner. Big game, that got us to 3 points. I think in the context of the season and for the quality of what the goal was, I would have gone that one. Also liked, I think, Rodrigo's against Newcastle, mainly just for that touch and ball in from Harrison. I thought that was excellent. And but yeah, I think any of the West Brom goals could have been a goal of the season, and even Sawyer's, to be honest. So yeah.
I think I'm going to throw in one of Bamford's at Villa, the one that sort of clip. I always love it when a goal clips the crossbar as it goes in. I always think that makes it a little bit sweeter. And I think it were about 30 seconds after Tyrone Mings were trying to rattle him up on the floor, and he just sort of picked it up about 30 yards out and just thought, "Get him in this," and he just rattled it in the top corner.
That's I'm gonna set same. It's basically the same reasoning.
We're two alike.
I think I'm going to go for Harrison against Liverpool, because I think that kind of set the precedent, and obviously we were great that game, but I think it really showed the quality that we have in our team as well. It's funny, the amount of crap that Harrison gets is featured quite heavily for goals and assists in our little roundup there, so obviously does a good job. Next one then is player of the season for Leeds so far.
I'll probably go as a whole. I'd probably go Stuart Dallas. I'll probably go Dallas on the basis of we've had many top performers, but I also think that he's taken well to Premier League football, and he's sort of gone up yet another gear. I think we talk a lot about how he's gone up through the gears, I think, since the sort of back end of Bielsa's first season. He just seems to be getting better and better, and he's played right back, left back, central midfield. He can basically play anywhere, and he's just, I think he's been fantastic. But like, I'm sure the others will say the same. You could probably pick 5 or 6 out of our lot.
I think if the club did a Player of the Year award tonight, goodness me, it'd be so hard to call, wouldn't it? I think previous years there's always been a standout player, but like even Matt says, Dallas has been outstanding. But then you've got Click, you've got Phillips, you've got Ayling, absolutely outstanding as Luke Ayling this season. Don't forget, so underrated in this team. But then you've got Patrick Bamford. You've got to look at Bamford and what he's achieved in the Premier League. How many Leeds fans said that Bamford wasn't good enough for this team, for this club? You know, he wastes too many chances, and he's taken to the Premier League like duck to water. He's absolutely smashing it. He's made for it, absolutely made for it. He's found his level. He's found his manager. He's found his team. He's found his club. We finally got that player. We all kind of did think that were there as well. So for me, it's between Dallas and Bamford, but you've got to give it for Bamford, I'd say, for his achievements so far by scoring double figures. And we've just surpassed Christmas, so that's a massive achievement in its own, really.
I think I would have gone for Bamford, but I think a player you just mentioned a minute ago, Matt, Luke Ayling. I think he just gets better and better every game. I probably, like a lot of Leeds supporters, was worried when we ran out of centre backs, but you just wouldn't know. I mean, Ayling in some respects is being probably better than Koch and Cooper. Not that we've seen a great deal of Llorente, but believe he does exist, perhaps in a parallel universe somewhere. But Ayling has been a revelation for me at centre back. He's comfortable running it into midfield. At times, he was almost walking past the West Brom players in the middle of the park. I just think, I'm now probably missing him on the right flank, though, hammering in the odd goal. That's probably all that's missing, but you can't criticise him. His performances are our captain's performances when he's playing. I just think an absolutely superb player. For me, definitely player of the season.
Yeah, I do agree with Matt there. I was going to go Ayling just because I think he's probably been the only player that I think's been at consistently 7, 8, 9s all season. I think Click started the season really, really well. He dipped a little bit the last month or so. Phillips has been a bit up and down, but, recently he's been more up. And then obviously the guys have said Bamford and Dallas who've been superb. Obviously, I want to say for Meslier as well. I think he deserves a good shout out for what he's done in the Premier League so far. 6 clean sheets is it now, which might be some kind of a record for the youngest keeper, which is amazing to say. It's not even January yet, and kind of proves that he is he's fitting in this team and in the Premier League, and he's getting a lot of praise from former goalkeepers as well. So whilst I would say Ayling, I think Meslier deserves a big shout out as well.
Yeah, I'm torn again on this one. I think Luke Ayling's been outstanding these last 2 games. I think he's been a real leader for the squad when Coops hasn't been there. But then on the other hand, you've got Bamford, who's scored his 10 goals so far this season. Is absolutely incredible achievement. So torn between them two. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go for Bamford.
Did you guys see, I think I'd go for Ayling as well, by the way, but did you guys see what Pontus had commented on Instagram the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
When he went, that's better than you, your time's up or something, was it? Something like that.
I think it sounds like Ayling gets Pontus's player of the season so far as well. Yeah. Moving on then to the biggest award. Who has been your Leeds United shithouse of the season so far?
Paul Merson.
End of thread.
Gabby Bunglaw.
Yeah. Can't forget Gabby.
Karen Carr.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to talk about which Leeds United player had
Well,
top
we
shit.
were.
To be fair, for a moment, I would say Alioski against Arsenal went full wind-up merchant, didn't he? Got Pepe sent off and then got that Scottish lad raging, didn't he? So that, for me, was a pretty good moment. It would have been sweeter if we'd have won the game, but, getting someone to headbutt you and lose this shit at the end of the game for just being Alioski, that is kind of sums him up, really. So I'd say that was one of my favourite shithouse moments of the season.
I mean, I don't know if you can class it as top level shithousery, but Melier is very handy, isn't he, with defenders? When crosses come in, this is a new aspect to his game. I think he's certainly one of the rising stars of shithousery. And I quite like Rodrigo's sort of friendly arm round the shoulder for Robinson in the box tonight as well. So I think there's rising stars of shithousery. It's not all going to be all Alioski's way this season, I don't think.
Again, I'm going to throw another one into the hat, but he's not a Leeds player. The referee from the Burnley game did an absolute tremendous job of winding up Ashley Barnes.
Oh, that was good.
I'm going to kill him.
Oh, when he gave him that yellow card, he was raging.
What about Dyche? Rob, what time can I come in? What time can I come in, Rob? Let me know what time I can come in.
Was it true that Sean Dyche, he measured out the pitch, didn't he, or something stupid before the game?
Yeah, he walked it.
Saw someone
He's old school.
proper PE behaviour.
Did he not get his steps in for that day or something?
Oh.
God.
Right, final one then. Who is your Leeds United rising star of the 2021 season so far?
What's his name? The translator, Adam. What do you call it?
He's like petrified, isn't he, to make a mistake?
Yeah.
You can see it in his eye.
Yeah, the best bit is when Bielsa confirms something to him or he doesn't get the question. He's just like, he almost has that look of thunder, doesn't he? And he's like, oh crap, have I said something wrong? Oh, sorry.
That's a great shout.
Strike.
He gets my vote too.
I'd say Strike if we're going on players. I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? I think he's only come in a couple of games, hasn't he? But you saw with Derby, final game of last year, Charlton, I think as well, he played. And obviously the under-23s just looks so comfortable and he's got a bit of composure about him. And Chris mentioned on the pod earlier about versus Cooper, he's that left-sided centre-back. Bielsa does like that type of player. Just looks comfortable on the ball, doesn't rush, doesn't panic, hasn't got a mistake in him. He looks like he's been in this first team for years. He's just slotted in. And normally when you've got a young player that comes into a team, especially at high level Premier League, you're always a bit nervous and a bit worried about him. Never crosses my mind, really. But then obviously Meslier is another shout, really, isn't he? But I'll stick with Pascal Struijk. I think he's going to be, well, already he's the best Dutch centre-back in the Premier League.
Well, I'll chip in and I will give Meslier his due accolades. It's so easy to forget what a young keeper he is, and what a tough job he's got with that. Well, certainly for the prior to the last two games, the way the defence was performing in front of him, what a job he's had. I mean, I think has he stopped the most. He's had the most saves of any keeper, has he? Or the second most saves of any keeper in the Premier League this season, after Sam Johnston. I remember he came in the transfer window last January, and I think I, amongst many, was a bit underwhelmed. We've got here's another unexperienced keeper for the under-23s, but he's displaced Casilla. I don't know. I think I might have been able to displace Casilla potentially with some of his performances, but he's done so well. You do wonder if other teams are going to come in for him. I think he's that good. For me, he's our rising star.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with Matt. I think Stroits would win my vote. You only have to look at the last 2 games. I think he's come in, slotted in perfectly, and he just looks so strong. But then I think next year I'd like to see a bit more of Pervader and see if he could come in a bit more, because I think he could be something really special as well. When he's come on, he's looked full of energy, he's full of speed. But yeah, Stroy could win my vote in that category.
Is Rafinha too old to say he's rising star? But I think he's already my favourite player.
I don't know.
24.
I'd put a rising star from kind of a young player that's literally come through academy or out of the blue, and I think Rafinha's had a good couple of years at Rennes, and he's been at Sporting in Portugal as well, hasn't he? He's kind of played at a high level really already, hasn't he? Well, I think Stroik and Meslier, he players that are literally just breaking through, aren't they? And amongst others as well. But I get what you're saying. Is what about? We talked about him earlier, Matt, about absolute snip 17 million.
I've already got images of him holding the World Cup up in Qatar, so he's going to get better. But yeah, if I was to, like I was saying, like with you, I'd say you've got to say Meslier, aren't you? Really, from he's been in all season, and you were thrown in. You'd probably like to say, like, is the deep end really, like from last season when his van went through, and he's just getting better. I think he just needs to the only side to him that you'd say needs improving is just from probably collecting crosses more rather than punching them, which is something that always seems to wind me up with goalkeepers. But that's like the only downfall you'd have with him. His distribution's amazing and he's a brilliant shot stopper. So he's almost a like complete keeper at 20 years old, is it?
Well, if you won't let Matt have Rafinha, then you're probably not going to let me have Pablo, are you? So I will probably say running out of players. But yeah, I agree. Meslier, definitely. Strike's done very well. I think Shackleton's always looked accomplished when he's come on. He did very well against Aston Villa in a game that we won, and I think the last couple of times he's come on and given us a lot of energy in the middle of the park. And I think, I don't know if Click got a knock against West Brom, but I don't know how bad it was. But he might be getting more game time in January. So, but I think he's looked at home in the middle and suits our style of play. So, yeah, I'd go Meslier, and special shout out to Shackleton as well.
Am I allowed to ask my youngest son Tristan, who sat quietly next to me, who he thinks the best Leeds player was tonight? Is he allowed to say anything?
Of course, get him on.
Definitely.
Tristan, who was your favourite player tonight? Just say, you can speak. He's gone quiet for the first time.
Oh. You can speak.
Stuart Dallas, he says.
Good call.
I agree.
No, it was Calvin Phillips.
No.
So,
It is hard to decide. They're all great. So now we're going to move on to our fabulous game of Guess Who, but we're going to make it a team game today, seeing as there's so many of us. I have made it slightly easier this week. I think it's just the festive spirit making me a bit nicer. But for anyone that's not listened or not played before, the rules are really simple. I've got 3 clues for you to guess which Leeds United player I am. And if you know the answer, you just need to buzz in. So as we've kind of said, Matt BB, Matt M and Tristan are Team A, and this is your buzzer.
Patrick Bamford. He's on fire.
And Dan and Lucy and Matt B, this is yours.
If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm fuming.
Clue number 1. I was born in Porto Alegre, Brazil, which just happens to be the same place that Ronaldinho was born.
Patrick Bamford.
He's straight in there. Who do you think it is?
I think it's Rafinha.
Oh, he's got it in 1.
No.
He's got it in 1.
Bloody hell.
That was way too simple. I'm going to have to find someone else. Hang on.
I know, I'm not having this. Get me
I
a
thought you
player.
could have aligned.
No, it's back to as well.
I thought you were going to go like Rocky Jr. or something.
I said I made it easy, but I didn't think it was going to be that easy. Jeez.
We've only got a million in a squad.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a current player. That's the difference.
2 Brazilians in as well.
But they had 3.
Right, we'll do another one. This one's definitely much more difficult.
Right,
so let me just think.
I'm not even going to answer this now. I feel dreadful.
No, we need to win. We need to win. You need to answer. We have to win this.
Sorry.
You were straight off the mark. Right, next player then, and clue number 1. This player played for us between 2005 and 2007 with 38 appearances. Ha, not so easy this time, is it?
Honestly, Vicky, that could be about 87 players.
Was he a lone player?
Right, this one might make it a little bit easier. This player got married in 2003 with former York City teammate Jonathan Greening as his best man.
Patrick Bamford. He's on fire.
Go on, who do you think it is?
Is it Richard Cresswell?
It is!
Give you that one, MBB. That was good.
That was very good.
I know they played at York together as kids, didn't they?
But we'll do another one then. We'll do best. Well, I know you've done best of 3, but I'll let you do.
Come on,
Team B. Chance to think it is.
Is Team B still here, Vicky?
Apparently.
It's Tristan getting these as well, you know.
I'm sure he's helping.
Me and David have arrived.
Is he on Wikipedia, Matt?
Yeah,
he's got Siri listening to me.
He's currently going through Richard Cresswell's wedding photos.
Right, player number 3, clue 1. This player started his professional career at Leeds United in 1998. Yeah,
first appearance.
First appearance, 1998.
Oh.
This one's going to be easy, so quick off the mark. This player had 3 stints at Middlesbrough during their career. 1 on loan and 2 permanent.
Patrick Bamford. He's on fire.
Yeah, who do you think it is?
Nick Barmby.
Incorrect.
You lose a point.
Does that mean we got pass now? They can't go.
I feel like you get a free hit at guessing who it is before I read out the third question. The third clue.
Is it Middlesbrough?
Got a clue? I mean, sorry, B.
You don't get clues, you get free clues.
Team B get a free hit at guessing who that is based on the last 2 clues.
Don't ask me, bloody hell.
And they played it middle.
Do you pass it back on to Team A if they don't get it right?
Absolutely not. No. It'll go to 2 and 3 and then whoever's quickest.
Did Woodgate play for Borough? He didn't play 3 times.
That's the name that's coming off my tongue.
If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm fuming.
Should we just go for it?
We'll go with Jonathan Woodgate.
Correct.
Hey!
I knew it.
You managed to
I
get
had
1
3
point.
stints there, though. That's what was throwing me off.
Oh, Woodgate was the first one that came to my mind, but surely he's not been there 3 times.
He went back on loan.
Yeah, so it was on loan 2006 to 2007, which then became permanent 2007, 2008, and then back again 2012 to 2016.
Oh, yeah, of course. He went back there, didn't he?
Okay, this player played for Leeds United between 2016 and 2017.
Oh, that could be about 48.
That monk season.
Maybe. About 4 years ago, wasn't it? 4 seasons. Bielsa's had 3.
Just for the single season, Vicky?
That's what Wikipedia tells me. I mean, as a bit of an extra clue to clue 1, they technically went out on loan in 2017, so they didn't fully leave Leeds until the end of 2017.
No, actually.
Clue number 2. This player's number, for the most part, is number 8.
Patrick Bamford. He's on fire.
What's your guess, teammate?
What was that clue? Is it Tommy Bianchi?
It is not.
Oh,
Team B, you've got another free hit and you could level it up with this.
What was the clue again?
So clue 1 is that played for Leeds between 2016 and 17, and clue 2 was that he wore number 8. And you've got a free hit.
Is that before Union and Kane?
Kane was 14, I think.
No.
Number 8 in that season.
No, I'm not got an idea at the minute.
It's definitely Monk's season, isn't it?
I think so.
Oh.
Or it would have been, yeah.
It's Monk's. It's Monk's. 17-18 with Christiansen. 18-19 Bielsa, 19-20. Yeah, Monk.
Oh, Vicky, is that is he somebody referring to Google on that answer then?
It sounds like they may be dragging it out.
We quickly went from not knowing what season it was, and then he just reeled off all the managers. And
I knew.
Yeah, you're going to have to give me a guess, Team B, or I'm going to give clue number 3 and Team A might steal it.
Lucy, you're meant to be Googling in this time. I'm stalling.
I'm trying.
10 seconds.
I ain't got one. I can't remember. So.
Right, clue 3, and you're both back in the game.
I was going to say Luke Murphy, but I don't think he played for us that season.
I think it was there.
It's not Luke Murphy.
Quite a long while as well, weren't he?
Right, final clue. This player is a French professional who currently plays for Morecambe as a defensive midfielder.
Oh, Team B.
If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm fuming.
Come on.
Go on, Team B.
I can't say his name. Dykaraga.
Yes. Imani Diarraga.
Is it not Dave?
Leveled it up. It's Dave.
It's Dave. Well done. That's a good one.
I'll tell you how I know that as well, because my flatmate supports Morecambe, so I got a bit of that clue sold me right there. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Right. Well, it's finished 2-2, so I think that's a fair way to leave it for the end of this current year.
Come back team.
We'll pick it up again we'll do a full team one at the end of the season and see who can win.
You can't finish on a 2-2.
No, we're not finding another bloody player. Right, I'll tell you what I'll do sudden death or I'll give you a player and you have to tell me what their number was.
Oh, God.
I'm good at this.
Well, we've got the squad list in front of us now, so we should do it.
We don't.
I've just got LUFC stats on the other line.
2004 to 2006 season with Leeds United, what was Paul Butler's number? Oh, it sounds like you've got it already, Team A. What do you think it was?
He's on fire.
Yeah, I think it's 6.
Correct.
6. Damn it.
Boom! Champions.
Pulled it back, but they snuck it at the end. See, everyone would have been much happier ending on 2-2. We just ruined it.
Leeds are gonna win the league.
I'm stealing my buzzer as well.
So that's us for our final podcast of 2020, and what a year we have had. On a personal note, we just want to thank every single one of you for taking the time out to download and help us make our way up the top 50 UK charts. We still need your support, so please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It really does go a long way. We hope you all have a great new year, and we'll see you on the other side.
Patrick Bamford. He's on fire.